Hey guys, happy Friday. This is our last, for those of you that are going to be in person, this is the last day of e-learning until after Thanksgiving. If you guys saw the email and phone call from Mr. Green, we'll be in person next week and then that Monday, Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And then the 2 weeks after that, we will be back online for e-learning. So I'm going to start some of this stuff today, and we'll probably go over it again next week as well, just to make sure we understand it and all. So if you get a little lost with some of this, it's okay. We'll go back over it again in a few days, and hopefully it'll make more sense then. So we are going to start talking about some of the early Chinese dynasties. So first things first, we need to understand what exactly a dynasty is. First off, it's not something that's unique to China. It's just something that's found throughout Chinese history. So a dynasty is just simply where power, being king, emperor, whatever, is passed down from one generation of the family to the next. Typically, it's passed down from father to son, typically. But there are instances in Chinese and other places where women were able to take and obtain power through a dynasty. So a dynasty is just passing power down from father to son or daughter, however you want to look at it. Another example of where dynasties are big is medieval and classical Europe. A lot of those countries and places were dynasties, if you will. So dynasties aren't unique to China, but it's something that is important to Chinese history. That's why I'm making sure we understand what exactly that is. The next thing we are going to talk about is known as the Mandate of Heaven. And basically what this is, in a simple way I can think of to explain it, is Chinese dynasties, often when one would fall and another one would come in, the new dynasty would say, well, the previous dynasty lost the mandate of heaven, meaning the previous dynasty lost the support of God or the gods, and therefore they asked us, being the new dynasty, to come in and rule for them because they didn't trust the previous dynasty anymore. So basically, the previous dynasty lost support of the gods or God and were removed from power. Losing the mandate could be caused by a variety of issues, and oftentimes it was used to kind of discredit or make the other previous dynasty look bad and make yourself, being the new one, look better. Well, we did this to restore the mandate. The previous group had lost it. We're bringing it back, so we have the mandate of heaven, meaning we have the support of the gods, if you will. So this little flow chart here kind of does a good job of summarizing up what exactly that means. So now that we've talked about what dynasties and the mandate of heaven is, let's get into the first Chinese dynasty we're going to look at, and that is known as the Xia dynasty. I think I said that right. And they were around from 2070 BC to 1600 BC. Notice we're back in the BC era. We haven't met Jesus yet. So we're in BC, about 2000 BC to 1600 BC. The Xia dynasty is the first dynasty to follow what's known as a line of succession, meaning passing power from father to son. That's why they're the first dynasty. The problem with these guys, though, is we're not entirely sure they existed. Historians haven't been able to find any like physical evidence proving that they existed. There is a theory going around they were created so that the next dynasty, which I can talk about in a minute, could make themselves seem more legitimate when they took power. So we're not entirely sure that they were real, but there's evidence of a dynasty from this period, this from 2000 to 1600 BC. We're just not sure if it was the Shah dynasty or the next one we're going to talk about here in a second. So there's kind of some debate as to whether these guys are actually real or not. The next one is the Shang dynasty, and this is seen as often the first true dynasty. They lasted from roughly 1600 to 1046 BC. Notice they start right around when the Shah would have ended if they ever could prove them to be real. The Shang were known for their massive buildings. They invented a calendar based on the sun, religious developments, and a writing system. They were originally led by a man named Tang, who set about reforming the dynasty to match his thoughts and beliefs. Some of the things that they're known for developing is he was able, and subsequent emperors after him were able to effectively use the low soil from the Yellow River to improve farming. If you remember from division of labor way back when, if less people have to work farming, those people can then start working in other areas, which is kind of what happens here. Because they didn't or to improve farming output so much, they didn't need all these people working the farms. So a lot of people moved to other areas. They started specializing in certain jobs. Some of those things included building cities, infrastructure projects like canals, roads, and so on. And we think some of the earliest sections of the Great Wall of China were built by the Shang dynasty here. They're also known for their very detailed art, stonework and pottery, and a writing system. The picture you can kind of see back here in the background is actually an early form of the Shang writing system. And it kind of looks like what modern Chinese script looks like now. They used what is called oracle bones. What they would do is they would take the bones of a turtle or an animal of some sort, and they would take it to a special person who would carve a question into the bone. Can I go to the movies this weekend? Or will I be able to do this? And they would write on one side, yes, I will. No, I won't. And then they would toss these bones into a fire, and they would leave them there until they essentially cracked. And then the person would take them out and look at what do these bones say. And that was like a kind of a way of predicting the future, if you will. And they would write on the bones in this kind of script here, which becomes what is known as Chinese script later on. The Shang also developed musical instruments and other things like that. They developed some of the earliest forms of drums, flutes, cymbals, that kind of thing. So, like all good things, it must come to an end. The Shang, through corruption, mismanagement of state resources, and natural disasters, slowly began losing their grip on power. And of course, if you're losing your grip on power, you run the risk of being overthrown. And sure enough, the Zhou dynasty came in and ended the Shang and began saying that the Zhou, had taken on the mandate from heaven to rule over China, and that the Shang had lost that mandate. And so this was a way for the Zhou to make themselves look better and reduce the risk of people calling their rule illegitimate or not real. So that was just a way for the new dynasties to kind of claim power in a way that might upset as few people as possible. All right. So that is actually all we have for this one. If you don't need the questions read to you, you're good to stop here and start working on these. If you want to stick around, let's hear them read to you. I'll do that right now. So question 1, true or false? Dynasties are always passed down from father to son. Question 2, what did it mean to lose the mandate of heaven? Question 3, why is there doubt among historians as to if the Shah dynasty actually existed? Question 4, who was one of the earliest leaders of the Shang dynasty? Tang, Yang, Mao, or Yin? Question 5, explain some of the achievements of the Shang dynasty. And then the last one, question 6, what were some of the reasons as to why the Shang eventually lost the mandate of heaven? So that is the assignment for today. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Other than that, that is all I have for you all. I hope you all have a good rest of the weekend. And if you are going to be in person on Monday, I will see you then.